Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with grilled flat iron steak, secret breakfast style. That's right, I've wanted to do a tutorial on this great steak for a while now. So when I was looking for a cut of meat flat iron new marinade / brine secret breakfast style, I remembered this fantastic. That's right, I wanted to do a tutorial on this great steak for a while for the grill. So when I was looking for a cut of meat flat iron new marinade / secret breakfast style, I remembered this fantastic. That's right, I wanted to do a tutorial on this great steak for a while now, which I know sounds like not just for a cut, but it's not. So let's start at the beginning with this marinade / brine. And I started off with my breakfasty ingredients, which included some maple syrup, as well as some cold but strong black coffee. Which brings us to the ingredient that makes this a secret breakfast, a big old splash of bourbon. And I really thought the sweetness from the syrup and the bitterness from the coffee and the additional sweetness and whiskiness of the bourbon would be a perfect combination of flavors. Well, spoiler alert, it was not. But anyway, since it was a brine / marinade, of course I finished it off with some salt, as well as some freshly ground black pepper and cayenne pepper. And I gave it a whisk to combine, not realizing yet what a horrible mistake I'd made. But why this is not a problem, and why you should still be freshly ground black pepper, is that this procedure is going to work with any marinade we use. And I gave it a whisk to combine, and I will of course provide links to a handful of my mistake I'd made. So for the rest of the video, we're just going to pretend that our brine is freshly ground black pepper. Is that this procedure is going to work with any marinade we use. And I gave it a whisk to combine, and I will of course provide links to a handful of my mistake the star of the show. So for the rest of the video, we're just going to pretend that there it is, freshly ground black. They generally run about a pound with any usually fully trimmed. And while not quite as rare as something like a butcher steak, they're not nearly as popular as they should be when you consider how flavorful, affordable, and tender it is. And as far as prep goes, since these are about a pound each, I simply like to cut it in half, forming 2 8-ounce steaks. And I find the surface of these kind of misleading, since it seems like there might be some seriously tough connective tissue inside. But as you can see, we're talking about pretty much all edible meat, and fairly lean at that. So if I had to compare it to other more common steaks, I'd say it has like the flavor and leanness of a top sirloin, but with a tenderness closer to a New York strip, even though it's roughly half the price per pound. Okay, this was like $9 a pound. So for me, this is one of the great steak values. And then what we'll do once that's cut is place it in a zip-top bag. And I went ahead and poured in my secret breakfast brine, which minus the salt and pepper would have made a significantly better cocktail. But the point is we're going to use the same exact procedure, only using something delicious instead. But anyway, we'll go ahead and combine our steaks with whatever marinade we're using. And of course push out the air and seal up the bag, at which point we will transfer that into the fridge for a certain number of hours, to be determined by the directions for whichever one you decide to use. Okay, you are after all the Marquis de Sades of your marinades. So how long you let this sit in the fridge is going to depend on exactly which recipe you choose. But no matter which one it is, once you pull it out, we're definitely going to want to pat this dry. So we'll place that down on some paper towels, and then pat it dry with a few more. And by the way, it's generally a good idea to save your marinade, because sometimes we can boil / reduce that, and actually use it as a sauce. But anyway, we're going to dry those steaks off the best we can. And then, because my brine did not have a ton of salt in it, I decided to season up the surface with some additional kosher salt, as well as some freshly ground black pepper. And we'll do both sides, of course. What kind of psychopath would only season one side of a steak? No, not even Marquis de Sade. And then what we'll do once we have our steaks dried off and possibly seasoned up is head outside and grill these up over high heat, which, by the way, is not the same thing as a blazing fire. Okay, so please note, our natural lump charcoal is ashy white and glowing orange, and that's what it should always look like before you place your meat down. Okay, so often people blame the lighter fluid for an off taste when it really has nothing to do with it. It's actually that people are cooking over flames and not hot coals. So if you only remember one thing from this video, besides do not use this recipe, is let your charcoal get to this condition before you try to work with it. And then basically as far as cooking times go here, if you're going with 2 8-ounce steaks, you're going to be looking at about 5 or 6 minutes per side for medium rare. So my usual game plan is to let these go for about 4 minutes on one side, and then I will flip those over and give them about 4 minutes on the other. And then, even though all the experts tell me not to, I'll kind of start moving them around, flipping them over as I see fit, to give each side another minute or two. And that's basically my method, if you can even call it that. Okay, the experts, quote unquote, tell us not to play with our meat, only turn it once. But I'm sorry, I can't just stand in front of cooking food without doing stuff to it. And of course, as you know, I do encourage the use of thermometers. And I recommend you cook this somewhere between 125 and 130 internal temp. But once you cook enough of these, you can kind of tell by feel. When the meat stops feeling mushy and kind of springs back, you know you're getting close. And also another tip, for whatever reason, when a steak starts to get shiny, when the moisture inside starts getting forced to the surface, that's always a good clue for me that it's probably medium rare. So I kept a flippin' and a pokin' and a flippin', until I said to myself, those are probably done. And once I had that thought, I pulled them off and headed inside, where I'm going to lightly tent these with foil and let them sit for about 5 minutes. And I said lightly tent. I didn't say tightly wrap. Right? That's how you make steam steak. And nobody wants steam steak. So cover that loosely while you set up your plate, which may or may not include a baked potato with creme fraiche and chives, with some mixed seasonal vegetables, or as we called them back in the 80s, a summer vegetable medley. And then after a brief rest, we will place down our absolutely gorgeous steak, and very possibly spoon over some of the accumulated juices from the plate. And that's it, our grilled flat iron steak is ready to enjoy. Or at least that was the plan. Except when I cut in and took it. And that's it, our grilled flat iron steak is ready to enjoy.
Hello?
Or at least that was the plan. Except when I cut in and took it. And that's it, our grilled flat iron steak is ready to enjoy.
Hello?
Or at least that was the plan. Except when I cut in and took it. And that's it, our grilled flat iron steak is ready to enjoy.
Hello?
Or at least that was the plan. Except when I cut in and took it. And that's it, our grilled flat iron steak is ready to enjoy.
Hello?
Or at least that was the plan. Except when I cut in and took it. And that's it, our grilled flat iron steak is ready to enjoy.
Hello?
Or at least that was the plan. Except when I cut in and took it. And that's it, our grilled flat iron steak is ready to enjoy.
Hello?
Or at least that was the plan. Except when I cut in and took it. And that's it, our grilled flat iron steak is ready to enjoy.
Hello?
Or at least that was the plan.
Hello? Hello? It seems to work. 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 Hello? 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 Hello, hello. 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 Hello, hello.
We're gonna take our salt and our burgers over to the grill. Come on, guys, let's do this. Get that? You get that on video? There's a griddle on the grill, and that is how you make smash burgers on the grill. You take a... Get that? You get that on video? There's a griddle on the grill, and that is how you make smash burgers on the grill. You take a... Get that? You get that on video? There's a griddle on the grill, and that is how you make smash burgers on the grill. You take a... Get that? You get that on video? There's a griddle on the grill, and that is how you make smash burgers on the grill. You take a... Get that? You get that on video? There's a griddle on the grill.